It is 6 o'clock. It's time to call the Sherwood City Council meeting to order. At this time, I would like to ask Robert Campbell to come forward and lead us in our prayer.
Let's pray. Lord Jesus, we thank you for your goodness, for your love, and mercy to each and every one. We ask now that you'll bless this council meeting, Lord. Grant wisdom and understanding and compassion to each member, Lord, as they try to direct and lead this city. We ask that you be your protecting hand upon the rest of this night and each and every one in Jesus' name.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Brooks. Here. Harmon.
Here.
Lilly.
Here.
Min. Aye. Sanders.
Here.
Williams. Here. Broderick. Here. Approval of minutes of the regular meeting on March 25th, 2019 is transcribed. So moved.
Second.
Lilly.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
McMinn.
Aye.
Broderick. Aye. Brooks. Aye. Williams. Aye. You have been provided March 2019 financials. Are there any questions, any discussion?
I do like the new format.
Very good.
Thank you, Ms. Angela, for such hard work.
Deal.
Is there a motion to waive the reading requirement?
So moved.
Second.
Lilly.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
McMinn.
Aye.
Broderick. Aye. Brooks. Aye. Williams. Aye. At this time, we have Sherwood Police Department officer recognition.
Mayor, thanks for giving us time to do this. I'm Kel Nicholson with the Sherwood Police Department, and in 2017, the council and the mayor approved a budget for us to upgrade our dispatch system and our emergency communication system, basically the 911. And we're here to let y'all know tonight that we are now able to receive and respond to text 911. And what we want to do is recognize one of the officers that put in the most work and did a lot of work on this, for us to get this thing going. And so we'd like to ask the telecommunicator, it's a dispatcher now, Beth Johnson, to come on. She's going to present the exceptional service citation. And Beth started working for us over 20 years ago. She's one of the leaders in the Dispatch Detention Center. She trains a lot of the new employees, and she's one of the go-to people in there. And when we took this project on, we asked her for her help, because we knew that she would be able to provide us exactly what y'all needed to be able to be done. And she spent so much time working on this thing, and many hours of input and data, and figuring out how to structurally set it up. And we wouldn't be at this point we are today without her hard work, and we want to recognize her for that.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Committees and/or commissions, Advertising Promotion Commission.
We did meet. The minutes are in the packet. If anyone has any questions, we will meet next month as scheduled, which is the first Wednesday of the month at 3 p.m. We do have a ordinance. Mr. Cobb, if you'd like to read that, please.
An ordinance amending ordinance 1909 regarding the rules and procedures for businesses subject to the Sherwood, Arkansas Advertising and Promotions gross receipt tax, as well as collection and enforcement.
And this is, back in 2011, we revamped our current AMP ordinance to include a lot of things, but in the last few years, which actually it's been 8 years now, a lot of things have happened to the way we live and do business. We didn't have Airbnbs. A lot of people didn't have home businesses in their home, so we have tried to incorporate a lot of these new businesses into our rules. So basically what we've done is spell everything out. Whereas before we didn't list everything, we now have everything listed. One of the things listed is concession stands, for instance, and concession stands are listed. And if you have a concession stand, unless you're a nonprofit and have a nonprofit letter from the IRS, you're supposed to get A&P tax when you sell non-packaged food, such as popcorn, or if you make a hot dog or a hamburger. And another item is special events. Like if we have special events at Sherwood Forest and we have food trucks in, we're supposed to let those vendors know they're supposed to collect A&P tax. And all these vendors also are supposed to have an A&P tax permit on file with our city clerk's office. So this is spelling a lot of this out. We have a lot of people now who bake cakes in their homes. We have Airbnb that we're not saying the Airbnbs are okay. We're just saying that we know they're out there, and we've actually received money from Airbnb, not knowing where the Airbnb's at. So anyway, just spelling some new things out, and that's why we're redoing this, if anyone has any questions.
Marina, I do. I've noticed on there says mobile retail food establishments. Are you talking about food trucks, or are you talking about food trucks and these trailers, these pull-behind trailers?
Both.
Both?
All.
Okay. Is that spelled out to the degree where they need to be? They understand they got a permit to park these things?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we've had a couple of instances lately where they've had to go down and cite these mobile food vendors who haven't registered or who have not been paying taxes. So I think, and Angela or Donna both here can say no, that I think we're pretty much on top of all of our mobile food vendors in the city now. Does anyone have any other questions on this?
Move for the adoption. Second.
Lily?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
McMahon?
Aye.
Broderick? Aye. Brooks? Aye. Williams? Aye.
Non-emergency. Civil Service Commission, Parks and Recreation Committee.
We did not meet, no business on the calendar for last month. If we have any business for the calendar in May, we'll meet the second Monday at 6 o'clock at the Bill Harmon Recreation Center, Magnolia Room.
Personnel Committee,
We did not meet, although it said we were going to. We had something on the agenda. We just had too many conflicts. So we are scheduled for May the 2nd at 5:30, and we will have several things to talk about.
very good. Planning Commission, Senior Citizen Committee,
Mayor, I'd like to make everybody aware that the fish fry is this Saturday coming up. That's correct. Still looking for auction items. I'll defer to Robert over there. Do you have some things? Tickets? We need you to purchase tickets. You cannot leave here tonight until you have purchased a plat of tickets.
Is he going to stand at the door and lock the door?
Do like I do at the church. I got an offering plate and a guard. So yeah. Yeah, we do need the auction items. We need the tickets sold, and also baked items. Is that correct? Okay. That's it, Mayor.
very good. And they were doing very well in their beanbag baseball. I had the opportunity to go to Jacksonville recently and surprise them and watch them play in the tournament. That was fun. Sewer Committee,
Council, do you have a amendment you want to make?
Yes, I do. The ordinance before you today on the amendment to ordinance 1515, I'd like to do a friendly amendment to that. In looking at the Arkansas Code 14-235-206 about sewer committee, it gives the city council permission by ordinance to rename that to waste management committee. And in my conversation with Miss Amy Sanders, who's the chairman of this committee, and has wanted this to be renamed. Also talked to Scott Greenwood today, and he said, they all refer in-house as the wastewater instead of sewer committee. And we have everything in our minutes as sewer, but our budget and everything else is wastewater. So to make this clear, we would like to rename it. That's what the ordinance is about.
I second that very long friendly amendment.
Thank you.
Let me read the ordinance. An ordinance amending ordinance number 1515 with respect to the renaming of the Sherwood Sewer Committee and for other purposes as amended.
Move for adoption as amended.
Second.
Okay, I didn't take the roll call amendment.
Okay, well, she amended the ordinance
Okay.
before I read it.
Okay, so who made that
This is
motion
the
to
vote.
adopt it?
To adopt, yes.
I did.
And then
I did.
seconds come. Okay, Lily,
Aye.
Sanders, Street Committee,
Street Committee did meet, do have the minutes in your packets. Still have a lot going on. Richard and Brian are making tremendous headway into engineering, et cetera, on getting some of our road improvements done, which is really good for the city. And also, other items, sidewalk discussions, et cetera, in our last meeting. So, never a shortage of discussion topics in our Street Committee. So, any questions? Thank you.
An ordinance amending the zoning for the property located at 7225 Highway 107 to remove the conditional use allowing the rental of moving type trucks and trailers. This is the second reading from last month.
Mr. Cobb, this is a different ordinance, so
I was going to ask, we need a motion to, suspend the rules and read this ordinance instead, or is it titled the same? No, it's titled differently.
Okay, then you need to do a motion to suspend the rules.
Yeah, I move we suspend the rules.
Second.
Lily,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
aye, excuse me, Harmon,
Aye.
Min,
Aye.
Roderick, aye, Brooks,
aye.
Williams.
For clarity in the record, I think there should be a motion to table item 8 on the existing agenda and to substitute the ordinance that was submitted by the property owner.
Let's do that after we, I don't think the order that we do it in matters, does it?
Well, this is not on the agenda. This was put in for discussion purposes. And if you want to get it on the agenda, that's fine. But I think we need to,
Okay.
something needs to happen to item 8.
Okay, I move we, table item 8 and substitute the,
Hang on, because we must suspend the rules to place this item on the agenda. So, I mean, we don't need, I mean, if we table item 8, that's fine. We've already added this to the agenda, right?
and we're substituting this.
I mean, no need to substitute. You just table it and go with the one you
Well, I just wanted the record, somehow when we go back and start looking to see what action was taken on this, we can't find any action was taken. I just want something in the record, in the minutes that say that.
I make a motion that item number 8 remains tabled.
How about that?
It's already tabled.
No, it's not tabled. We just read it one time.
City Attorney.
Okay, let's back up.
Back and vote up.
Got a motion to suspend the rules. Let's take a vote on that.
Okay. Another vote?
We already voted on it.
Yeah, we voted on that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Now you need to make your motion to substitute.
I did.
Okay.
And it was seconded by,
Everything.
Have you called the roll on that?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Lily,
I still don't understand why we need to substitute. What we need to do is table number 8. What am I missing?
Isn't the fact that we don't read it the second time an automatic table?
I mean, we've already made the motion to suspend the rules and place the new ordinance on the agenda, right? So that's been done.
I think it's a technical thing for Angela and Steve for them to know in the record what happened when they go back to the record.
Okay.
And
So all we need to do is table number 8.
That's why-
We don't need to table and substitute. We just need to table.
brand new.
I don't think it makes a difference. It's just terminology. Because technically we are substituting. But we're getting caught up over something.
We're not substituting, we're replacing. Are we
No,
not?
it's all good. It's all good.
Can we call the roll now?
Lily,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Broderick. Aye. Brooks. Aye. Williams. Aye.
An ordinance amending the zoning for the property located at 7225 Highway 107, allowing for designated parking spots for moving pipe trucks and trailers.
Steve and I worked with the attorney for the youth storage facility, and this was the proposal they eventually developed for the parking of the trucks, for the facility in place of what was originally done for the zoning, conditional zoning. And I liked it. The truck that was the problem, the moving truck that was the problem that they had parked up the highway, is parked up against the side of the building now. Its designated parking place will be up against the side of the building on the side over by Highway 107. So it'll have to be parked up against the side of the building in that designated spot that you can see most easily on the third page. And although we had not limited them in the number of trucks that they could rent previously in the original ordinance, they've limited themselves to 8 total vehicles, rental vehicles in this language. And they have to be parked either in one of the 3 designated spaces, which again you can see most easily on the third page, out in the lot, the westernmost portion of the lot, or in the fenced-in area where they're parking them all now. And I felt like this was a good fix as well, because right now, one of the problems we're having is that people are bringing trucks in when they don't have people there working that are capable of backing the trucks into the narrow fenced-in area. So they're leaving the trucks out in the parking lot, and they're leaving them out in the parking lot close to 107. And that's one of the problems that we have, and one of the reasons that we've had so many citations is because the trucks have been left out in the main area of the parking lot, close to the bank, close to 107, because they couldn't back them in. They didn't have the employees there necessary to back them into the parking areas. Well, now there's no longer an excuse for that. So when someone drops one off on a weekend or even during a weekday, when there's an employee there that doesn't have the ability to back it in, they have parking places designated in the parking lot where they can park those trucks that isn't in the fenced-in area. So I feel like, but it's as far away as you can get from the highway and pretty well blocked from view with the front of the building, with the bank and everything else. I mean, you'd have to really be searching for them. Plus, the way they're parked, they're going to be facing either back out or front out. They're not going to be facing with the side view out to the highway. So I feel like this is a good fix for all the problems that we've had with the facility. I felt like this was a pretty good fix with the facility, with all the problems we've had.
Can I ask a question of the attorney or the owner?
I didn't see it.
Yeah. My question is going to be, are you going to provide signage saying that this is U-Haul for return? Like,
So I got it actually laid out on that. Those lots are already laid out, so we'll know we're in the right, we'll know we're in the wrong.
okay.
So another question. So the 3 parking spots that are outside the fence are full, and someone brings a truck back when there's no one there that can back it into the fence. Then what?
We'll do our best to have everything behind the fence. We'll just know if they're in those 3 spots, we're in the right. We're not in those 3 spots, we're going to be in the wrong. But our intention is to have everything behind the gate that's not visible to the public.
Okay. Well, my concern, of course, is that the 3 spots that are outside of the fenced area become normal parking spots for trucks, and then the issue of having to return vehicles on the weekends or what have you, parked out by the side of 107, that doesn't go away. That remains the same as it is, only because you're using these 3 spots just as normal parking for U-Haul vehicles. So that doesn't necessarily in and of itself fix that issue.
I think it does essentially because right now there are no assigned parking spots. So anytime a truck is parked in the parking lot, it's essentially in violation because there's no time frame of how long they have to return it to the parked area or the gated area.
So with this is giving them that time frame of, okay, we've got at least 3 parking spots that we can have people return on the weekend or after hours, and then they can be moved as we have enough employees to move them back there. We've had multiple discussions to make sure that the 3 would be okay. As you see, there's 8 U-Hauls or moving type trucks or trailers. And so with that, we've discussed as to would the 3 spots be enough to handle the max flow of what you have of returns in any particular day. Because essentially he normally has enough employees, at least by the end of the shift or maybe when they close, to be able to move them back, or at least first thing the next morning to get them moved back. So we've had multiple discussions. The 3 wasn't just a random number that we picked. I mean, that was based on his research of his own business.
And that's great, as long as these 3 spots are reserved for the return of vehicles and not there just, for normal storage. Because again, my concern is you park 3 vehicles in there and they stay there as a normal course of business. And then, one of the other 5 or 3 of the other 5 comes in on the weekend when there's no one there to move them. And then guess what? Those vehicles are out on the parking lot just as they are today. Or as they have been, not today. But I mean, that's the concern. So,
we'll do our best to definitely move the excess back to the RV parking area. So we'll leave those spaces available. But like on a Sunday, we're closed on Sundays. I mean, I don't know if a lot of trucks can park along 107, but we will do our best. We're there. Definitely apply to the code of.
So every day at the close of business, those 3 spots should be empty.
Okay.
So I would like that included in the ordinance. I mean, I really would. I don't think there's anything here that says you can't use those 3 spots as normal U-Haul parking spots, and they're not empty. They're not available for the return of vehicles on nights, weekends, what have you.
Also, what kind of language would we put in there? Would we put something to the effect that the preferential parking spots are the gate or the fenced in area, or the fenced area, or that I'm not sure what kind of language we use for it.
The 3 spaces are strictly for U-Hauls.
U-Haul returns.
It's on there.
That's in the second whereas, Kevin.
It says yes.
I mean, essentially, he can have 3 trucks parked in there, but any overflow over that is in violation of this. So that's why he added that, to have him have a little bit of leeway of, okay, I have a truck parked there, I don't have to worry about my employee leaving a customer in the store to be able to go and move this truck and park it back. It is so difficult to back into that gated area. So that gives him a little bit of wiggle room here as far as workability.
Yeah.
I think I have maybe a friendly amendment on this, because I remember when this all came to begin with, Mr. Thompson, and we talked about those. Your whole argument was after hours, you're not open on Sundays, which that's when people move, and at 10:30 they're bringing it back. We understood that. In that second whereas, the very last of it says to allow 3 parking spots for the rental of moving type trucks and trailers for customer returns after hours. Period. And then the after hours takes care of Kevin's concern that somebody's just lazy. I don't know if you ever had lazy employees, but some of us have had those, and they just didn't want to get out there in the rain or whatever and move that truck.
But see, there's an issue though if they're open and he only has 1 employee.
Yeah, we want it for returns, not just after hours.
Right, it's going to be returns in general because the employee in the store, which we have an employee here who could speak to that if you need him to, but when there's 1 employee in the store, I mean, they have to have 2 people to back this thing up there. So even if they have 2 employees in the store, both of those employees are outside now moving a U-Haul in to be open to customers just inside a store. I mean, not protecting the, merchandise that he has and money involved in his business. So I think that's why we intentionally left it the way it was for not after hours, and that is so that when his employees close the store, it's locked up. They don't have to worry about that. The 2 employees can go outside, move the trucks back, and then be done for the day. They don't have to worry about leaving during business hours a store left with nobody manning the business. And so I think that's why we left it the way that it was and not including the after hours.
So I mean, I personally don't need the after hours amendment. I just, I want to make sure that the intent is that we're not using those 3 parking spots whatever time it may be. We've got a U-Haul truck sitting out on the parking lot over in by 107 or what have you. I mean, the intent is that those 3 parking spots are for the return of vehicles.
And I think her whereas, the second whereas does that. The only problem I have is the whereas is not going to carry over into our zoning
Right, it's going to
regulation.
go into the actual section.
It needs to go into section 1 paragraph so that it will carry over into our zoning book and into our zoning regulations. And so what I would do is I would make an amendment I would propose an amendment that after the word property, where it says west side of property, that we would say the 3 parking spots along the west side of the property are reserved for the return of rental moving type trucks and trailers only.
I have a question.
Wait a minute. You have a motion. Is there a second? Okay.
I'm sorry. I have a question before we make a motion.
I've made the motion.
To accept?
I made the motion. Now I'm just waiting for a second.
Second.
Now,
How does this, with the moving truck in the front, how does that compare with our other sign ordinances? Because we have rules about how large a sign can be and you can only have one. So are we opening up for other businesses to all want to have a big semi with their logo and their parking lots to be able to park this? Because essentially it's advertising.
I was concerned about that too, but pardon me. The previous city engineer has already approved another storage facility to use a truck
In this zoning
to do this with a truck and on Keel. So we already have an approval on the books for this same type of use of a truck.
It's back to where we are. I mean, we talk about it all the time, but at some point we have to stop the progression if we don't want.
Right, and I think that's going to have to be done with a new sign ordinance, which that's a long story. But
what are the current dimensions for signs now? Because how much bigger is this than what we currently allow?
Typically 25%.
25% of the wall, 25% of the wall space, and I'm not sure that they've got 25% of the wall space on that huge building and signage.
I do have a question about this. On the building itself, the corner of the building is kind of catty corner anyhow as the building sits. There is a U-Haul sign on the building. Is that correct? So this truck's not that far away from that U-Haul sign on the building. So if you're already advertising,
it's not a U-Haul truck.
It's a moving truck, right?
Yeah, it's a different company.
It's on a different wall.
This is for customer usage. He's got the used storage moving U business that is incorporated with his U-Hauls. U-Hauls is separate. That was why.
Yeah, Tim, this truck is not for rent. It's for free use of the customers to, if they want to use it to move, say he's got somebody that's going to empty their house out and store it in his facility for a period of time, they can use his, correct me if I'm misspeaking, but I think this is what you told me. If they're going to use it, they want to use the truck to move the stuff from their house to his storage facility, then they can come get the truck and he'll lend them the truck.
It's just like we talked about, the USA Storage has a truck that they park out there for customer usage. They rented so many storage facilities. His business also offers the moving you side of it, which is actually movers that would come and move you, and he has that business as well. So that's also on this truck. But that's what that truck is. It has nothing to do with the U-Hauls.
Okay, and the other thing, I think Beverly was attending to it over there. Back when we did this first ordinance, I remember distinctly that we talked about those 3 spaces, that they were going to be used to park U-Haul trucks. And we didn't spell it out just simply because we were taking into consideration that you guys were going to do this thing right. Those were for return trucks. Those 3 spaces back up against that area there where you're talking about now. So, I mean, we've already spelled that out once before, not in detail, but in shake of the hand type thing.
And I think the issue is that he was being cited regardless of where the trucks were. I think there was one point they were parked in those 3 parking spots and he received a citation. Other times they were parked in other areas of the parking lot. And we've already, went to district court on that before the judge. But that was one of the issues, is that it was not specifically spelled out in the ordinance. So the code enforcement was just having a difficulty as like, where are they allowed to park it?
And one of the ways that I think that would be fixed is by maintaining these attachments as part of the ordinance, so that the actual diagram is part of the ordinance.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with those 3 spaces being used. My concern is if they're already full, you end up getting extra trucks in over a weekend, which that could happen. Then you sit there all weekend with that there, which you can't do anything about if you don't have anybody work. You have anybody work Saturdays? All day or just till noon? All day Saturdays. So you're only talking about Sunday then, essentially. And then the commitment to have those trucks moved on Monday morning. And the other thing you brought up was, you don't have enough people. So you can't leave the building empty, and understand that. But there are businesses around town that only have one person at work, so if they have to leave for some reason, they lock the door. I mean, is that a problem that you could not lock the door? Right, I understand that. Right.
Gotta have 2.
Right. But I'm saying if you have 2 employees there and you've got to move the trucks, you can lock the door.
But then again, we're impeding on his business at that point. So that's why I think that he just came to you guys like asking, hey, can we make this more workable for my business? Make sure I succeed and I'm not having to lock my doors to prevent customers coming in and buying whatever boxing materials that they need to buy. As a businessman, you have to understand he's trying to make sure his doors are open as much as he can have them open.
I understand that.
No, I get that, but I tell you, we also went into this conversation in good faith the first time, okay, and not trying to tell him how to run his business, just trying to, how does it fit in the city of Sherwood, and that did not get adhered to very well at all. So, we got to do better.
I think at this point he has come, and I think it shows a lot that he's decided to come back and ask you guys, not for a favor, but essentially to see if you guys would be willing to kind of meet in the middle. This is something that I've sat down and made sure that he would be willing to comply with, and he has assured me he would be able to comply with this. And so I think that speaks volumes as far as, he's at least got counsel this time. We've sat down and really discussed it and made sure. I want to make sure he's not violating any codes anymore. So that's why we took a lot of time and a lot of effort into really drafting this and making sure it was workable for him, but also something, because we took into consideration everything you guys said last time too, as to what your concerns were, and we really tried to make it meet in the middle where he could be happy and make sure he complies, as well as you guys all being happy about it too.
I have one more thing to say. Mr. Thompson, I totally love that what you've done to the building. You're a good neighbor. People are saying that. What I dislike, I like the idea of allowing the spaces for people to park after hours. I'm not, the argument you're giving about not employees, that one actually turns me off. It's a little foul for me. Everyone has to work with shortage of employees sometimes. You just make it work if that's what the rules are. So I would like you to just stick with what we're saying. That is for after-hour parking, and people return it, and you get people to move it in there. And I understand how backing in those things are. I can't do it. That's why I understand. So we gave it to you you sold it to us 3 years ago with the idea that someone is going to come on the weekend. Having moved children, I know that happens. And your clothes, you just park it there. That's why we gave you that leniency, that conditional use. Coming with us last month and today talking about employee issues, that's something you have to handle. That's not on us. So that's not favorable to me. And the more you're selling that, trying to sell it to the council, makes me want to vote against it. So I need you to do it the right way and not have another excuse.
I think at this point he's said that this is something that he will comply with. So
that's what
the return parking spots are for returns only. He's already stated that he would have designated parking signs. So that's what they're for. That's why we've spent many hours talking about this.
What's the pleasure of the council?
We got an amendment on the.
You have a motion and a second on the amendment.
Call for that vote, please. Lily?
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Broderick.
No.
Brooks.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye for the amendment.
An ordinance amending the zoning for the property located at 7225 Highway 107, allowing for designated parking spots for moving type trucks and trailers as amended.
Move for the adoption.
Second. Lily.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Broderick.
No.
Brooks.
Aye.
Williams.
No.
What was that, 5-2? Okay. An ordinance finding an emergency situation with respect to needed repairs on Lee Avenue, waiving competitive bidding for repairs, declaring an emergency, and for other purposes.
Move for the adoption.
Second.
Lily.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Broderick.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
There is an emergency clause.
Lily.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Broderick.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Mayor, that is
Business. I would just like to make one comment regarding some business I brought up last month regarding the existing library on the south side of town on Sherwood Avenue. There was just a little bit of, made a comment last month perhaps, that we might entertain closing that and having a history room there, and ask for any feedback. If you heard any, I have not heard any at this point, so we may midsummer move forward with exploring that. So if you hear any feedback from that, we would love to hear that. New business. Document destruction, there is a date yet to be set for that. You want to set the date tonight? I think that's what it meant. She was just giving an update.
Well, I know the judge had a date scheduled. I don't know that he has to come to council. And have an open.
Not ready to do that.
And I'd like to nominate our Miss April for that.
But there will be one.
Okay. Maybe I gave Judge a false impression. He asked me if he needed to attend tonight downtown. I told him no. Because in the past we haven't, we just put in the record that there's going to be a destruction. Correct?
All clear.
They just need to be aware that there is going to be one.
Very good.
Maybe two.
Any more?
April.
Did you see how you got
Any
voluntoed?
more new
That's called
business?
voluntoed.
In the way of announcements, Sherwood Senior Citizens Fish Fry has already been mentioned. That's this Saturday. Sherwood Mayor's Prayer Breakfast will be Tuesday, May 7th. Sherwood Forest beginning, I believe, at 6:30. Sherwood Prayer at the Pole will be Friday, May 10th. City Hall, actually, it's at the right out here at the Police and Courts building. Keep Sherwood Beautiful Community Shredded a.m. at the Walmart Neighborhood Market. Sherwood Farmers Market begins, first day will be May 21st. Also, I would like to announce that the Moose Lodge recently, just last week, donated $2,000 to our youth council. They have done that in the past, and that ceased for a short time, but they're in the new management, and so we anticipate more contributions to events and organizations in our city, but we do appreciate that. Also, okay, the police department got $2,000 as well, she said. Also, I think Mike Sanders, you had, Alderman,
Yes.
council member, you wanted to.
Yes, we did. I do. We have a individual here like to address the council and talk about Celebrate Recovery. His name is Sean McGowan. So
Yes,
as he
announcement.
comes.
Council members, Mayor. Here, I'm representing Brockington Road Church of the Nazarene, Brockington Road Celebrate Recovery. And we are here to just let the city know that we're here to offer our assistance with the opioid epidemic and addiction around the nation, of course, in the communities. And we are trained with Narcan, and we have that on premises. So we're asking for the first responders, if they could, to pass out brochures and business cards when they run across someone with addiction challenge. just when an opportunity may arise. I brought brochures and I brought business cards with me. So you guys would, something that you guys could think about and consider. We really appreciate that. And basically, I'm here just to let you know that we're here, and if anything comes up with the addiction or the opioid epidemic, if you guys could maybe send them our way. We're the only faith-based recovery group in the city of Sherwood, and I appreciate you guys' time and attention. I'm just going to bring that up to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the work that you're doing. There are announcements.
Can I take a personal moment of privilege? I just
You're going
want
to
to.
anyway.
I am. Thank you. Thanks for giving me permission. I just want to say, for those who have military families, my little nephew came home from deployment this week, right before Easter, and what a celebration it was. So I feel those people who have family that have been deployed, because this was an exciting and wonderful Easter. Hope yours was too.
And on that note, I move we adjourn.